Good day, everybody. It's Andrew here, and welcome back to my channel. We've got huge updates for seniors, as a lot of experts are saying that getting the stimulus package done and approving stimulus checks for seniors will help combat inflation and help people get through this crisis until inflation goes down. Now, at the moment, President Biden is talking to Joe Manchin, and reports say that they are closer to getting a deal done and closer to having stimulus checks for seniors approved in this next stimulus package. So let's discuss the details, but before we jump into it, do me a quick favor, hit the like button, hit subscribe, and share this channel with anyone who you think might find this helpful. This is a community for seniors, and my job here is to be a voice for you and make sure that President Biden is keeping all of the promises he made on the campaign trail. He promised to increase Social Security benefits, increase SSI and SSDI, and even potentially do a stimulus check for seniors. So, with that said, thank you so much for being a part of our community. And if you really want to support my work, subscribe to my second channel. The link to that is going to be in the comments of this video. And on that channel, we're going to have some updates as well, but it's going to be more of an entertainment channel where I'm going to be on camera playing games like bingo, casino games. There's going to be a chat so you can chat with me and chat with the community live. You can play bingo with me. It's going to be a fun channel, and I'm going to be giving away stimulus checks there as well, just as a thank you for supporting my work. So again, if you really want to support my work and get a chance to win stimulus checks, click on the link in the comments of this video. And again, thank you so much for supporting my work. So with that said, let's jump into a quick update on daily trending news. Now, first of all, regarding Social Security, obviously we have this massive COLA increase coming next year, but at the same time, there are some things that are going to eat away at that. First of all is the large increase in the Medicare premium, which is going up 14.5%. Then we also have inflation, which came in recently at 6.2%. So although we have a COLA coming of 5.9, now inflation has gotten even worse at 6.2, which means that really the COLA should have been even larger. And like I've been saying, we should have a 10% COLA adjustment for 10 years just to get Social Security benefits where they need to be, basically allowing all seniors to live in a retirement of dignity. Now, if they had done the 10% COLA, this wouldn't be an issue. But with inflation continuing to get worse, this shows that the COLA adjustment wasn't large enough, especially when you take into account the Medicare premiums going up 14.5%. So this is just another reason why we need stimulus checks for seniors included in this next stimulus package. And of course, Bernie Sanders is trying to do a $1,000 stimulus check, and some groups are pushing for as large as $2,000. President Biden acknowledged it, but said it could be as low as $800. But with inflation being so high, higher than the 5.9% COLA, and Medicare premiums going up so much, really, we need a stimulus check for seniors just to account for these issues. And again, let me know in the comments if you agree. Now, a couple more things on trending news, and then we'll jump right into the stimulus check update. Federal Reserve's decision and retail sales are going to highlight what's happening in the market this week. Now, the Federal Reserve is the central bank that controls interest rates, and this has an effect on basically everything in the economy. But a couple of things that affect seniors with is bonds. So the higher interest rates go, generally the higher your bonds will yield you as far as bonds that you use for your retirement. So seniors a lot of times will use bonds, a mixture of bonds and stocks. Generally, when interest rates go up, the stock market goes down, but bond yields go up, meaning that you'll get more dividend payments from your bonds, which is generally good for seniors. But let me know in the comments, guys. Are you invested in bonds or stocks or neither? Let me know in the comments below. Now, when it comes to stimulus, folks, let's jump into this. A lot of people are saying that they should cancel the monthly child tax credit and instead do another round of stimulus checks for a couple of reasons. One, it's actually less expensive. Just do one flat stimulus check for everybody instead of doing monthly stimulus checks for families. It's actually less expensive, and apparently it's more popular. Now, this article is titled, "Stimulus Checks Were Wildly Popular with Americans, but Biden's expanded child tax credit payments just aren't." Now, stimulus checks had a popularity of somewhere between 80 and 90%, depending on which polls you looked at, and the monthly child stimulus payments only have about a 50% popularity. Now, the main reason here is because only families with kids get it, right? So basically, that's generally about half the population. So most people with kids like it, almost everybody else don't. And the polls actually showed that older Americans, so basically seniors and those who are retired, they don't like the child tax credit expansion. And let me know in the comments, guys. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Personally, I think I'm okay with it. Children need help. Obviously, families with children, a lot of them need help as well. But personally, I feel like if they're gonna do that, then they have to do the stimulus checks for seniors. I mean, there's no justification to say, hey, families need help, but seniors don't. Or like we can afford to help families, but we can't afford to help seniors. Doesn't make sense, especially when seniors have paid into the tax system more than anybody else. You've paid your entire life for 30, 40, 50 years. And then on top of that, politically, it also makes sense. So if Democrats want to maintain control of Congress, it makes sense to give stimulus checks to seniors, which is the largest voting group in this country. No age group in this country votes more than seniors. So the fact that these stimulus checks were wildly popular and the monthly child stimulus payments aren't, a lot of experts are saying don't extend this because this expires actually this month, but they're trying to extend it in the next stimulus package. Don't extend those monthly stimulus checks for families. It's not that popular anyway. Take that away and then use that money to approve another round of stimulus checks for everyone. So let me know your thoughts on that, folks. That's something that's pretty exciting because really it makes sense, right? Don't do the monthly child tax credit and use that to give everyone another round of stimulus checks. I think that would honestly be a really good idea. Now, when it comes to stimulus checks for seniors in this current stimulus package, there's a whole lot going on, folks. Of course, this week is huge. This was the original deadline that Chuck Schumer set to try and bring the stimulus package to a vote, but it looks like things are going to be delayed. Now, at this point, there's about a 50-50 chance. The stimulus package could get done by Christmas, or it could run into 2022. Now, if that happens, that's going to be a bad thing for a couple of reasons. First, of course, stimulus checks for seniors could be delayed, but secondly, it could actually delay the next stimulus package. Remember, President Biden already said that they're going to try and do another stimulus package in 2022, and in that package, they're going to try and include whatever didn't make it in this current stimulus package. And yes, that includes a permanent increase in Social Security benefits. Of course, President Biden promised to permanently increase Social Security benefits across the board, leaving everyone with at least a minimum monthly benefit of somewhere around $1,500 to $1,600 per month, which would be huge. I mean, a lot of people who watch my videos would see their payments almost double, so that would be huge. But President Biden has said that would probably end up in the next stimulus package in 2022, which is good news. But if this current package is delayed, everything's going to get pushed back. So that means the next stimulus package would be delayed as well, meaning that an increase in Social Security benefits would also be delayed. Now, currently on the docket is Biden is going to have a meeting supposedly almost every day. President Biden is going to meet with Joe Manchin, trying to get his support on this Build Back Better stimulus package, which they're trying to include stimulus checks for seniors in. So a couple of things are expected to happen. One, Joe Manchin obviously is going to address his issues with inflation, saying we should pump the brakes, don't spend any more until we see if inflation starts to go down. The problem with that is they don't expect inflation to go down for at least a few months. So somewhere around March, April, they expect inflation to start to tick down. And then by the middle of the year, somewhere around July and August, they expect it to actually start dropping significantly. So if Joe Manchin got his way, we'd be waiting till like August to do the stimulus package. And quite frankly, nobody has time to wait, right? Seniors have been waiting over a year for their own stimulus check. Well, a little less than a year, but it's close to a year. And then a lot of experts are saying, and Joe Biden is saying, that actually the stimulus package and the stimulus checks for seniors won't make inflation worse. And secondly, it'll actually help ease the pain that Americans are going through and seniors are going through when dealing with the prices of things going up. Think about it. If stimulus checks don't make inflation worse, and quite frankly, I really don't think they will, because if you give a senior $1,000 or $2,000, they're going to go ahead and spend that on necessities. They're not going to spend that on things like used cars and things that are making inflation worse. They're going to spend it on paying the bills, paying their mortgage, putting food on the table, paying for their medical bills, having maybe a slight cushion. So it's really not going to make inflation worse, but it's going to help Americans get through this crisis, get through this inflation crisis, get through this pandemic. And social spending plan will help ease the pain for millions of Americans and millions of seniors in this country. And guys, let me know in the comments if you agree. So this is what President Biden is telling Joe Manchin. Like, hey, Joe Manchin, we understand inflation is currently really, really bad, but the stimulus checks won't make inflation worse, and they're going to help the American people get through this crisis. So not only is that going to help the American people, it's not going to affect inflation, but it's also going to help the American people get through this crisis. And the American people are going to recognize that, and they're going to give Democrats credit for doing this, right? So this is basically the conversation that's currently happening in the White House, and talks are really ramping up between Joe Manchin and President Biden when it comes to trying to get this stimulus package done. Now, the real problem here is that experts, to be honest with you, are kind of split. About half of the experts, economic experts, and congressmen are saying, you know what? Let's pump the brakes. Let's see what happens. Basically, they're agreeing with Joe Manchin. Let's see what happens with inflation. And then the other half of the experts, like Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders, a lot of economists, are saying, no, you know what? Give the people stimulus checks, because what really is causing inflation is the supply chain shortage. And stimulus checks isn't going to change that. What we need to do is help the American people throughout this crisis so they can get through it without getting deeper in the hole, especially with Christmas coming up, folks. I mean, we've had such a hard couple of years between the pandemic, the inflation crisis, reopening the economy, shutdowns, having to get vaccines, all of this chaos, a lot of people passing away because of this pandemic. And then we have finally, this is our first Christmas in 2 years where we can actually get together with our families safely, right? Where we don't have to worry as much about getting sick. And we can get together with our extended families. But then everyone's so worried about inflation that we might not have money to buy each other gifts. And not to say that's the most important thing, but if you have a grandson or a granddaughter, you want to get them a little gift. You don't want to have to stress out about it, right? You want to get them a little something small just to show them that you appreciate them and not have to stress out about deciding between buying your grandson a gift and paying your medical bills or putting food on the table, right? So if anything, they should really get this stimulus check done before the holidays, folks. I mean, especially seniors, after paying into the system your entire life, the least of which they could do is approve this stimulus check before the holidays, especially when, I mean, families have been getting monthly checks for 6 months. And if we can do it for families, we could do it for seniors, guys. And let me know in the comments if you agree. With that said, we should have a lot of updates this week as President Biden continues to ramp up his negotiations with Joe Manchin. So we should have huge updates in the next couple of days. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will keep you posted as things develop. Now, to end this video, I'm going to leave you with this really good clip between two experts debating the inflation crisis and whether or not the next stimulus package will hurt the economy or help the economy. Basically discussing everything we talked about in this video and their opinion on either side of the argument. So if you'd like to stick around, let me know your thoughts in the comments of this video, and I'll see you on the next one.
Who basically saying that it's the Fed's fault that we have this inflation, but the reason the Fed is in a box is because Jay Powell is going to be really unable to raise rates because we keep adding to our growing debt, and he's going to be in a box. The debt service would be so high at that point that you're definitely going to see it impact the GDP. It all seems like a witch's brew of not great things if we keep spending at this rate.
Well, it's a vicious cycle, right? When we were at $20 trillion worth of debt at the country and the interest rates were about 2%, even I can do the math on that. We had a $400 billion tax bill. When you go to 30 trillion and say the Fed wants to raise interest rates to, say, 6%, that's $1.8 trillion worth of interest only. So, yeah, the Fed really is in a box, but they're mostly in a box, let's be honest, because Congress put them there. If the national debt were zero, there'd be a lot more flexibility towards the Fed. Don't also discount, I don't think Kevin mentioned this, the fact that the Fed is politicized now with both parties watching so closely whether or not Jay Powell got renominated and will get reconfirmed. You've got folks like AOC saying that she thinks that Biden should be focusing more on having the Fed work on racial justice. So the Fed is becoming politicized as well. But we're in the box because of the size of the debt. And this bill just adds to it. You're absolutely right. Let's say that the pre-K thing only lasts for 6 years and that another Congress wants to extend it. That means they'd have to raise taxes without giving anybody anything that's new. That never happens. So what happens is something goes in now for 6 years and then it automatically gets extended and then it's simply added to the debt. Don't lose track of the fact that the only reason many of these programs are so short and Build Back Better is that originally they were longer and they cost more. So they need to shorten them just to satisfy Joe Manchin. So there's not sort of like an intent by the Democrats to do a short-term project. They want these things to be permanent. They just couldn't afford to pay for it.
And Congresswoman, that's what I thought of when you said I don't have a problem with it. We just need to pass, or Democrats just need to pass the darn thing. Manchin is the stumbling block. And when he sees a print on inflation like we saw last week, the highest in 39 years, the difference between Virginia and West Virginia, I know they share a border, but they are different places. And he's got constituents there that notice things maybe more than some states that are bluer. And I don't, you need him. You can't just pass the damn thing if Joe Manchin doesn't got him. And he's drawn certain lines in the sand that are in this bill that would have to come out, and then it would have to go back to the House. So it just seems like a hard thing to imagine before the end of this year.
Well, I do think that there are things that West Virginians do care about. They care about universal pre-K. I mean, if you look at West Virginia in terms of where it stands on education, universal pre-K would help tremendously. They care about child tax credit and the child care provisions. These are things that actually help working people. Medicaid expansion, lowering prescription drug prices. These are things that West Virginians and that Americans care about. And I do think that there is a way to accommodate Joe Manchin's concerns. Those are things that he's expressed an interest in, and to move a package forward that's going to make a difference, not just today, but in the future.
What do you, Nick, what's the timeline for you and probability for you on how this, what is it, the 13th? I was shocked it was already the 13th.
That's right. Don't forget, this is how the timeline works. It's already passed the House. If the Senate passes exactly like it is, then it can go to the president's desk whenever. That's not going to happen. It's going to change at some point in the Senate. So we'll have to then go back to the House. And I think Joe Manchin and others, it's not just Joe Manchin, there's plenty of folks, including the Democrat Party, are looking at this saying, okay, my folks back home might care about pre-K, but they really care about the cost of gas. They really care about the cost of turkey for Thanksgiving and ham for Thanksgiving. They don't really care about money for salmon, which is in the bill. They don't really care about money for news networks, which is in the bill. And I think what you're hearing from Donna, and listen, we both do it, Republicans do it when they're trying to pass a piece of legislation, Democrats are doing it now. Pass the damn thing quick so no one knows what's in it. That's what this is really all about. Yeah. What can we do over Christmas so that no one has a chance to really digest it, to figure out what they don't like in it? Look, at the end of the day, something will pass and then the voters will decide. Did they really care more about pre-K or the earned income tax credit, or they really care about the price of gas? I don't think passing this or not passing this changes the fact that Republicans take control of the House and probably control of the Senate in November of next year.